Hi everyone. Hi everyone, how are we all doing? The live reaction to a 6-2 home defeat for Celtic. Of course, pre-season results don't matter at all, John, but that is the reality that faces us today. What's your feelings after that?
Yeah, you say pre-season doesn't matter, but it doesn't. I mean, you still come away from the game feeling a bit deflated, a bit disappointed. Obviously, that wasn't what anyone wanted to see today. Again, yeah, it doesn't mean anything, I don't think, for our season. But on the day, from the result itself, from the performances of some of the players, it was disappointing. Let's put it that way.
There were certainly positive signs, wasn't there? First half, I thought the way
Mm-hmm.
we started the game was almost a continuation of the way Tuesday night went. I thought we moved the ball well. West Ham couldn't really deal with us for about the first 48 seconds, slightly longer than that. Um, Obviously, the main kind of the takeaway, and it's nothing new really, is just how badly exposed our defence was. At
Yeah.
times we really pressed the game well. At times we had them penned in. But the worry for me was it was just one ball over the top and a pretty elite striker like Mikel Antonio, who's flying, completely rinsed our defence on a couple of occasions, and that's concerning.
Yeah, and it was almost as if I mean, they're young defenders. You have to remember as well. It's a huge learning experience for going up against a guy like Antonio, who is lightning quick, as you say. But yeah, they were just kind of caught flat-footed on more than one occasion. Let's say, even when we were playing well in attack. I mean, in attack in the first half, with the full strength team on the pitch, I actually thought we looked pretty good at points.
Yeah,
I was impressed by Liel Abada again.
yeah.
I thought Edouard looked a bit sharper than usual. Ryan Christie, I thought, had another good game when he was on the pitch. So there were positives to take from going forward, but again, it's just highlighted that this defence needs a massive shake up, and Postecoglou's not had the chance to do it yet. He's not got the players in the door yet. Starfelt's in quarantine. He's going to be joining the squad next week, so we'll have him at least. You're hoping that him alongside Welsh should help a little bit. Then Julian's coming back down the road, but it's tough. It's tough at the moment. What's bad, Hamish. You get in a bad situation when you start feeling sorry for Celtic players rather than just being annoyed at them or frustrated or disappointed or worried about them. I'm just feeling sorry for some of these guys now. And their heads are down almost, a couple of them, and it's a really difficult situation for them. But I mean, they need to pick themselves up because I mean, as we've said millions and millions of times, this match on Wednesday night against Midtjylland is massive.
Do you think it's as simple as signing new players to play in those positions on the back line, or are we possibly seeing, not to raise everyone's alarm bells, are we possibly seeing a flaw in the Postecoglou game plan?
Well, look, I think it's going to be a little bit chaotic this season. I think that's part of it. I think having players who are playing such a high line, might lead to more opportunities for opposition teams than perhaps we've expected. At the same time, you've got to remember that in the Scottish Premiership, we're going to be playing against teams who don't have the ability to hit us on the counter
Yeah,
attack like that. You also got to remember that hopefully Postecoglou is going to get players into this system that he believes has the attributes to make an impact. And when you look initially, even the Liel Abada signing, Postecoglou says he's got the raw attributes to kind of fit into the way he wants to play, and you can see that immediately. Now, Abada's not used to playing with some of these players yet. He's only had a few training sessions, but he looks like he's comfortable doing what is asked of him, and that'll be the important thing. I think some of the defenders at the moment, whether it's through inexperience or inability, just don't look comfortable with what they're being asked to do. As soon as Postecoglou gets the players in that he needs for those positions, I think it'll be looking a lot brighter. But don't get me wrong, I think it's going to be, I think we are going to be exposed at times this season.
yeah. I mean, today's game is a friendly, and it's a 6-2 home defeat. As you say, friendly or not, it's a pretty damaging result. I would suggest not in terms of our hopes under Postecoglou or the season to come. Nothing
Mm.
drastic like that. I think for morale, losing 6-2 at home
Yeah.
is a pretty damaging one. Not that it's completely relevant, but I think fans of other teams in Scotland and perhaps the media and people like that will have a bit of a field day with this result. We can't shy away from that. It's a 6-2 defeat at home at the end of the day. But I do think, having said all that, there were a lot of positives today. And I think in general, we should probably focus on them in this video, because I don't think it's exactly a revelation that the defence isn't great in terms of depth at the moment. And I don't think it's a revelation that players like Jared Bowen and Mikel Antonio are going to run riot against a defence of 18 and 19-year-olds. So I think we'll maybe focus in on the positives.
How was your day in the sunshine at Celtic Park again? Second time in a week? Lucky boy.
Very fortunate. The atmosphere was different today. There was obviously more people there, double the amount, but not the same atmosphere with it being a friendly. Having said that, the goal went in from McGregor, which we've not even spoken about, a brilliant goal. Thought he was good again today. It was like a league game or something, the reaction. I think obviously a lot of people hadn't seen Celtic scoring a goal in a long time, so special moment for them. So at least we got that today. Just nice to be back, and can't wait till it's even fuller. No one in the main stand again today, maybe other than a couple of hundred, the normal people. But interesting, the club aren't putting people in the main stand. The kind of 18,000 were split across the other three stands, which I think is a bit interesting. But it felt pretty full today. I think I've probably been at Celtic games pre-COVID that have had less people than that. So good atmosphere. Listen, it helps when it's in the sun, but obviously when you're getting scudded 6-2, it's not ideal.
So what was your main positive from the first half then? Because I know we went in 3-1 at the break, but I felt at the first half did have a lot of major positives. What were the main ones for you?
I just thought the way we moved the ball again was pretty encouraging. I thought we were really, really sharp again for the first 5 minutes, and probably it kind of faded certainly in the second half, but we looked much sharper than West Ham. We looked a better footballing team than West Ham. I know I'm going to get slagged for saying that after a 6-2 defeat, but the way we started, the way we were moving the ball, we were cutting them open at times, and I think it looks really encouraging. I think you're right to bring up Odsonne-Edouard. I thought he was really good today in spells. He still lacks that kind of that instinct or that finishing touch, I think, that we know Edouard can have. But in terms of his link-up play, I mean, his first touch of the game was that back heel that he set Abada away a couple of minutes in. Brilliant. I thought Ryan Christie was a real positive again today. I think that's something the club has to look at with regards to Ryan Christie. And I know this is with regards to a new contract. I know this is a huge U-turn from me because I was slagging him off all of last season. But if Ryan Christie's playing like that and he seemingly has the hunger to play like that, that's the kind of player we need to have at the club. We can't afford to let him go.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I'm just bringing up some comments because Postecoglou spoke about it on Premier Sports before the game, so if you just indulge me for 2 seconds while I bring up the page. I thought Christie was impressive, and I do agree. I think that's obviously a situation we need to sort out. I mean, this is what Postecoglou had to say prior to the match before he saw Christie's performance today. He said, he was outstanding on Tuesday night, particularly when we went down to 10 men. As everyone knows, when you go down to 10 men, you need people to put in an extra shift, and he did the work of 2. He's such an intelligent player, but also one that's willing to work hard for the team. In terms of his future, I'm pretty consistent. There are things that I can't control. I'd love to keep him at the football club if he wants to stay, but right now he's a contracted player. He's got a few months to go on his deal, and he's training awfully hard. If he keeps playing like he did Tuesday night, I'll keep selecting him. So it certainly seems like there's no progress in terms of keeping him. I think Postecoglou would obviously love to have him in the squad. But as you say, if he keeps playing well, there's no reason to drop him necessarily just because he's away in a few months. I think we need all the quality we can get at the moment. It does kind of irk me a little bit. He's suddenly playing well when he's in the shop window, but that's another matter, I suppose.
Should we talk about the big issue that most people are probably tuning in for, probably the most kind of talked about part, certainly of the second half? Leigh Griffiths, one of the many Celtic players, you'll be able to tell me for sure, but I think we changed all 10 outfielders it would have been, probably about the 60-minute mark or so. Leigh Griffiths comes on. He actually takes the first touch of coming on because I think West Ham had just scored, so he takes the centre circle. A lot of boos. However, saying that, I would describe them, having been in the stadium, as quite half-hearted. I've certainly heard more vitriolic responses to other opposition players, not Celtic players, but maybe after a few times of boos kind of arising, there was lots of people probably outnumbering the boos who decided to applaud. I stayed silent, to be honest. I didn't really feel a need to to boo Leigh Griffiths. I understand people who did. I certainly didn't feel the need to applaud Leigh Griffiths. That's up to other people if they want to do that. Fair enough. I know there's a lot of people who think you should never boo a Celtic player, and again, that's their opinion. My thought on it was that, for my opinion, Leigh Griffiths doesn't deserve either emotion from me. I just sat at the back of the stand, quite literally at the back of the stand in the back row, and just observed it all happening. However, having said all that, I thought it took away from the second half. I found myself be more occupied with where the ball was on the pitch in relation to Leigh Griffiths than what was actually happening on the pitch in terms of the football being played. And I think that's pretty much all of Celtic's making. I think they could have dealt with this, nipped it in the bud early on, and Leigh Griffiths couldn't and shouldn't have been a Celtic player at this point, and we wouldn't have had that circus or that pantomime going on in the background. I've seen your tweets as well. They actually summed up exactly how I felt, and that doesn't happen often with you, so well done.
Yeah, for me, it's just a bit of a pantomime, as you said. I mean, what you said there pretty much sums up for me. A lot of it's quite performative on both sides at the moment. I think it's getting to the stage where, people made a point at the start when he first came on and booed. I then think, if you want to make your point, I don't think it needs to go on from that point forward. At the same time, I don't think anyone should be cheering him either. It's the whole situation is of Celtic's making, in my opinion, in the sense that they could just move this guy on and bring in another striker, and everyone moves on and everyone's happier. I think that's probably what my preferred thing would be. I think it's a toxic situation, and I think it's a distraction that nobody needs at Celtic right now, not least the players on the pitch, because although they're focused on the game, it will be a distraction for some of these players too. It's also a distraction for Postecoglou. It's a situation he doesn't need, and I just think we should move on from it. Regardless of what your opinion on the actual incident or what happened was, it's an easy one to move on to, because if we're honest about it, Griffiths hasn't really done the business for us for a number of years. So what's the point in just move him on to a different club, and everyone can move on and be happier. That's my opinion.
But it's only going to keep going, because you're going to have more and more fans coming back to the stadium behind me, and you're going to have 60,000 there soon, and you know for a fact that this is going to continue. It's not going to continue forever, it's not going to continue all season, but these early matches, as more and more fans get involved, this is going to continue. And it's alright today to a certain extent because it's a pre-season game, but what happens if it's in a Champions League qualifier when Celtic badly need a goal and you've got Celtic fans booing Leigh Griffiths? And again, I say, I do not blame these people at all. I genuinely don't. I'm just having a dig at the entire situation that Celtic have created by not binning this guy.
What about Barkas, Hamish? I don't know if you're aware, but there was a lot of discussion about him and the way that Mikel Antonio scored the second goal. Kind of left his near post open. It wasn't great. His positioning was poor. I mean, I have to be honest. Again, I'm not one of these ones who's been slaughtering Barkas consistently, but again, I was disappointed about that. I know he made some good saves in the first 10 minutes. 2 good saves, actually, and it was nice for him to get the backing of the supporters, but he kind of sold the goal again, and it's just adding to the narrative. Bain doesn't look much better.
No.
Is a new keeper necessary?
I am
on the spot there.
I am on Mount Barkas. I am climbing Mount Barkas, and I am not coming off and starting climbing down until there's been another complete howler. But I agree. The kind of frustrating thing for me was, after all those photos are circulating on social media of him, I know the one you're talking about, the Antonio second goal, I think, when he's kind of given him so much room. The frustrating thing for me is that Barkas made 2 pretty good saves before that, certainly the second one. And again, I was always thinking, is this the moment he can really kick on now? He's made 2 really good saves. I think we're 1-0 up at that stage, both from 1-on-1s. Can he really kick on now with the fans in general behind him at that stage? And it just didn't happen. Once again, after a game like this, we're talking about, a Barkas, not exactly a howler, but certainly Barkas not covering himself in glory. Even the penalty, you never really expect a keeper to save a penalty, and you shouldn't. Having said that, we've had keepers in the past, namely Boric and certainly Fraser Forster, where you always felt there was a chance. When West Ham had that penalty today, I had no hope that Barkas was going to make a save there, and even the way he kind of meekly half dived and was put the wrong way so easily by the West Ham player, again doesn't look great at all. But you're right to bring up Bain as well. People saying that Bain is the solution to this, are completely wrong as well. He let in a couple of howlers today, and there was another one as well where Antonio ran, and Bain ended up coming out and smothering him, but he took ages to come off his line. We've got 3 goalkeepers at the club, if not more, and none of them are convincing at all. And as time goes on, mate, it's getting more and more alarming for me.
One of the concerns I have about some of this stuff is that you worry about what some players are showing in training. Like Connor Hazard must be nowhere near it. Leo Connor must be nowhere near it.
Yeah.
If these guys aren't getting chances at the moment when things are this bad and depth is this much of a problem and people are making mistakes, then you really worry about what's underneath that again. So it kind of says a lot about a lot of the players at Celtic at the moment. At this point, in an ideal world, at this point you're looking at the back 5 and thinking you need someone different in each position than what started today. It's not the fault of Murray or Welsh. I think they can be good players for Celtic. I'd certainly like to keep Welsh around and have him in a backup capacity, or someone who can come in and do a job over a few games if someone picks up an injury. I've got no problem with that. Likewise with Dane Murray, he's only just turned 18. I'm not criticising the boy at all. I think he's very athletic. I think the way he kind of reacted to his mistake was good. He didn't get too down on himself. But these aren't the answers for our season this season. I don't think you can deny that. And we've got Starfelt coming in. We need a new right back. Arguably need another central defender. Arguably need a left back. Arguably need a keeper. I mean, it's a grim situation. There's just no getting around it. And this is probably the defence that we're starting with in Denmark. How are you feeling about Mitchell, and do you still think we can go there and do them?
Yeah, but I think we're going to have to score a few goals because we're not going to keep a clean sheet against them. I mean, West Ham, even a West Ham team like that are a good 3 or 4 weeks away from starting the season, I think are a far superior team to Michelin. So we do honestly, I think, need to bear in mind that we're up against a pretty good West Ham team with a lot of good players today. We do have to keep that in mind, but I'm still relatively confident with the way we played in the first half, the way we moved the ball, that will create chances over in Denmark. But it's creating enough chances to win the game and not concede at the other end. It's going to be the big thing.
Just finally, I know we touched on them earlier, but what's the feeling like when Liel Abada's got the ball in the stadium? Is there a bit of anticipation? People expect him to do something?
There was a run today he had, I think it started the second half, and I thought he was maybe going to get a penalty out of it, but it was that kind of direct play you wanted to see from him. He had a couple of good crosses. In fact, he set up the second goal, didn't he, with a kind of hopeful cross into the box. But I feel like that's maybe something we don't do enough, is put the ball in the box, and he's a really direct player. He'll have shots, he'll put crosses in, and he'll take players on. So I quite like the look of him, to be honest, and if it's going to push James Forrest for the first time in God knows how long, to get back in the team, then that can only be a good thing. The sad thing is that that's probably now the only position in the entire squad where we have a bit of competition, genuinely. Because you look elsewhere, what happens if we get injuries to Odsonne Edouard or to Callum McGregor or even someone like Greg Taylor. There's not many proven options behind these guys. But listen, it's a pre-season game, John, and we'll move on. I need to give shout-outs to a couple of people that I met today at the game. Mazza, who's the big fan of the channel, messages in. He won't be seeing it live tonight because he's travelling back to Edinburgh. But I met him at the game, and a fella called Lewis as well. I didn't get a surname or where he's from. He came and said hi to me at half-time. So it wasn't all bad today, mate.
That's a problem if you're becoming a celebrity at Celtic Park, Hamish. You've got a target on your back. Just one last thing. So what are the main lessons today? It's a difficult learning experience for some of these young defenders, and kind of move on and get players in the door and get on with the season.
I think, I said on Tuesday that for me the big barrier between us having a good or a bad season is going to be the players that we sign between now and the end of the transfer window, and I don't think that's changed at all. I don't think we really learned much today. As I say, anyone who didn't think that Mikel Antonio was going to have a field day against Stephen Welsh and Dane Murray and Anthony Ralston, with all due respect, you don't know about football, because this guy is a good player and our players are either very inexperienced or shouldn't be at Celtic at all, and that's me being kind. So it's players coming in is the big lesson I didn't learn today, but the big lesson I carry on from Tuesday. We need, I think, 7, 8, 9 players, and I'm talking first team players, and that's not me saying you know how usually in a window you say, oh, it'd be nice if we could get, or we could, we could add a wee Wanyama or something like that, and it'd be the cherry on top of the cake. This is bare necessity. We need 8 or 9 players. You ran through the squad already, the amount of positions we need to recruit. It's summed up by the team that comes on today, who looked miles off it. Now, I know it's difficult coming in when you're so far behind in a game. I think it was 4-2 or 5-2 when the scores changed, but when the teams changed. But they looked miles off it, and those are guys that we should be hoping can come in and push the first team players. Guys like Rogic, guys like Griffiths, guys like, Sean Uragide, and they just look a good bit off it, for me. So we need 7 or 8 signings, and we need them soon. What about you?
Yeah, get the signings in, get the transfers in the door.
Do you think we're going to see something soon?
I think we need at least 2 before the end of the month, because people will just start getting anxious again. I think we need to keep momentum going. I think it's important that they deliver on the targets. I thought it was interesting that Postecoglou talked about having 3 concurrent plan A's for each position that they're going for. I think they're really targeting on the right back position. I think they're still looking for a central defender, and I wouldn't be surprised if they're lining up in case Edouard heads down the road. So there's a lot of stuff to do. I don't think it's all going to come at once, Hamish. I think you'll be waiting on 6 or 7 players, but I think we can definitely get another 2 or 3 in over the next 2 weeks on top of Furuhashi and Starfelt, and we'll see where we go from there, see how we look. I think that's
definitely. Yeah, we'll leave it there. I'll do the outro, seeing as John kind of took over in midweek. Hopefully the sound's been a little bit better today. As you can see, I'm using kind of wired earphones as opposed to the AirPods the other night. So we're taking this business seriously, or moderately seriously. Remember to subscribe to 67 Hail Hail as well as we continue to motor with subs. We're going to have a day off tomorrow, but we'll be back on Monday with more content. Take care, everyone. And from Celtic Park, it's Hail Hail and goodbye.